Good afternoon, this is Jack from the Artshop.net, and this is an intraday recording for Thursday, the 16th of July. Our disclaimer: we do this for educational purposes only. We're here to share technical analysis with you. We hope you can take some of what we're doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts, and not how to issue trading signals. Right, question of the day is, where exactly are we on ES, and what is likely to happen next? Let's have a look. ES. Here we've come back up and we retested this high again, and we got potential nested double tops here. This could be a head and shoulders forming. We could be putting in the right shoulder at the moment. So I'm keeping an open mind there, but I've got some more interesting stuff to show you that will support that. What's really interesting about what's happening here is what's not happening on NQ. No retest. And actually, when ES came up and retested the high yesterday, NQ is basically halfway back. It's retraced most of that this morning into the low. NQ is looking very weak. It's still on a 60-minute buy signal. It could still be heading up, but this could be, even if this goes higher, a bear flag point. But I've got more to say about that when we get to it. Let's have a look at the others. RTY, we had a nice 60-minute sell signal fixed last night, and that's got the majority of the way to the target, but not all the way. RTY is looking pretty weak. YM looking fairly weak. You'll note I'd marked in rising channel support, and it's held it so far. That could continue to hold, and potentially this could get us up into the retest, so that's something I'm keeping an eye on. DAX and the STX have retested the June highs, and we've got beautiful looking potential level tops there. We shall see. All right, something unusual today, just because it's Thursday. On Wednesday, I tend to do what I would call my Wednesday barometer, which is that I have a look at the big five charts, and I have a look and see if they've got anything interesting to say. They have got some interesting stuff to say. First one is Amazon. This isn't a bad looking potential head and shoulders. Now, having said that, we've got an early RSI 5 buy signal that's just fixed here. This hasn't broken down yet, but it's interesting. It's got potential, the right shoulders in the right place. Watching it with interest, and overall, we've got a quite nice rising megaphone here, which is a very nice technical megaphone. The next obvious target within the megaphone would actually be megaphone support currently in the 2800 area. If you're wondering why I'm looking at these, it's because I'm gauging from these the overall strength of the market and of tech. So bear with me. Apple. Less good pattern here, much less good potential head and shoulders here, although you'll notice the right shoulders are still in the same place. Watching that with interest, and I've got the main rising support currently from the March low in about the 376 area. Let's see how that goes. Facebook. Hourly chart, nice channel. Now, the obvious next target in the channel would actually be channel resistance, which is way off up here. But what I'm noting here is we made the possible near miss target on the sell signal, but we've got another nice looking potential head and shoulders here. This is actually a really very nice one. Watching to see if this breaks down. If it does, that could take us through rising support, which I've got in the 220 area, and take us down into the 214 area. We will see. All right, Tesla. This one's a beauty. Check this out. That is a channel, and it's gorgeous. Now, it doesn't have to break down, but it might break down. You can see that 50 DMA is short-term, 50 moving average is short-term support, as you will often see the case on many things. But at the moment, the obvious next move would be down to channel support, which is in the 1050 area. Honestly, I think Tesla's been kind of crazy there, but this is a nice channel. Sam found it too. It's a peach. Seeing how that does. Netflix. Netflix, no current divergence, no really good resistance trend line, not like Tesla at all here, but we've gone over the obvious. We've come back here. Could have a head and shoulders forming here, but it would be a little ugly. And Google. Nice looking wedge, overthrown, very nice looking potential head and shoulders here. Watching this with interest. If this breaks down, this would have a target in about the 1384 area with obvious potential rising support. Well, actual rising support, there might be potential support, and currently in about the 1408 area. There are a lot of potential head and shoulder patterns here, all of which have the potential to break down. Now, the other thing I look at, of course, with Big Five and sectors is sectors. Let's have a look at those. Now, this is something I was warning Stan about yesterday when we were talking. He was talking about adding to the XLF, and he did add obviously the XLF short, and I think in the longer term I'm really liking this short. In the shorter term, I was saying that we had a beautiful double bottom here which had broken up with a target in the 24.85 area. So I was a little concerned it might make that. It's got a little closer to that so far, but one thing I would note is on the 60-minute, this is a possible RSI 14 sell signal break. This is a possible RSI 5 sell signal break. Actually, that one's fixed. That is a fair amount of negative divergence, and all we've got to do is do another break with a conviction through this support trend line 23. That's already broken slightly here, and we start looking very toppy here indeed. What I don't have is an obvious reversal pattern. Let's have a look at IBB. IBB, nice looking wedge. Obvious next target within the wedge is, well, is considerably down actually. We broke wedge support here. We came back, arguably we tested it, so we might need to redraw this, but this is a nice looking double top. If we were to see a sustained break below 135, then it's not huge, but I mean, it takes us back to about the 126, 127 area, and that takes us back into this bigger support area and potential head and shoulder neckline in the 125 area. This looks toppy, and again, an RSI 5 sell signal has fixed on the hourly chart. IYR, hang on, XLE, not really quite the same as the others, so I'm not really treating that as I'm treating that as much of a as oil as stock. IYR, not really telling us a lot, but we are breaking this rising support. There's definitely topping potential here. XLK, not a bad looking potential head and shoulders here, but it's got some issues. It's not as nice as some of the others. I don't have an obvious resistance trend line here. XRT, again, possible RSI 5 sell signal brewing. Definitely some. We've got basically the summary from what I would my big five work would be that we've got a fair number of head and shoulder patterns falling on the tech stocks. And in the sectors, we've got a lot of short-term negative divergence and a fair number of resistance trend lines and patterns which are looking lower. So I'm wondering about those, and I'm wondering whether we'll see more downside from that. This isn't, that's something I'm always looking at on a Wednesday night if we've got a nice bearish scenario developing. What I like to see is a bearish looking big five in sectors. And this is a moderately bearish looking big five in sectors. We'll see. Now, in terms of the short-term setup here on SPX, let's have a look at my SPX 5-minute chart. This is the move from the low on Tuesday. Nice looking rising wedge, and it's broken down. This looks like very possible flag forming. It's not got quite low enough, but let's have a quick look at the trend lines on those. Could be a flag wedge, could be a flag channel. What I'm saying is it may need a retest of the high, and we may spend a couple of days pinned because it's Apex tomorrow. So it may be that any serious downside is going to have to wait until after the weekend. Let's have a look and see how this flag's stacking up. I don't think it's quite made it down to the ideal flag support, and it hasn't, you see. Now it could make a high higher than that, but I don't have any support for it. There's no obvious anchor. So my lean would be to look for that, and if we were to find that, which basically be probably pretty close to a retest of the overnight low on ES, then we might well find we had support there for another retest of the high and then a fail, likely fail. So we will see. Let's have a look at the bigger picture on the other charts. SPX daily. Obviously, we've got the daily RSI 5 sell signal. That has not failed. We've got a beautiful double top here. It's now a nested double top, potentially. This could fail. What it has to do, which it hasn't managed so far, and we've now seen two recent tests, is it's got to break the daily middle band. That's now in the 3126 area, so knock off about 10 handles for ES. And that absolutely, without any hesitation, has to break. Without breaking that, any decline is going to be short and look a lot like the last two. So that needs to break. I think what are the chances of it breaking? They're not bad. And we've got quite a lot of negative divergence here. We've got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed here. We've got, if we retest this short-term high on SPX, we'll have a possible RSI 5 sell signal fixing here. It's a nice nested, potential nested double top setup. I like it. It's nice. Is it definitely going to deliver? No, nothing ever definitely delivers, but it's pretty solid. NDX, still got a possible RSI 5 cells for RSI 14 cell signal brewing on the daily, but we're going to need some downside action for that actually to turn into a real cell signal. We haven't really seen that yet. This does have an echo of the same possible head and shoulders on it, and one thing I'm always looking at head and shoulders particularly is the right shoulder highs. Sorry, I'm just doing a bit of an educational one today. The right shoulder highs ideally at the same level, even if it is a sloping neckline. And here, That is pretty nice, and that is one important feature of a good technical head and shoulders. That is pretty solid. If we were to see a fell directly from here, then we could see. Right, I didn't draw it in here. Sorry, I must have been a bit busy last night. We could see a move which could turn us down to about the 9700 area if it was to make the target with a sustained break below. But there is definitely quite a lot of downside potential here. In the short term, we could definitely see a rally. This is a possible 15-minute RSI 5 buy signal brewing. We've already got a 6-minute buy signal fixed on NQ. And with OPEX tomorrow, we very much cannot rule out the possibility of seeing high retests. Let's have a quick look at the other indices. IWM. This has made a start to the upside. We've then come back and back tested this broken trend line. If this finds support here, we could see a thrust up. Because at the moment, this triangle, although I think the natural lean for it breaking was down, is breaking up. And at the moment, we are coming back and back testing broken resistance. Resistance. So if we start seeing a spike up, then we could see quite easily, I think 3240, maybe 3250 on ES, and that would be well within the range of what we would expect to see, and we could see that within tomorrow, and that would, even if we are going to turn, that would be within the range of what we would normally expect to see. I was saying to someone on Tuesday when I was talking to them that if we had just made it high, then it was an awful lot quicker than a normal high on ES would be. If we just screw around and keep retesting the highs, that's more than the normal high we would actually expect to see. So that wouldn't surprise me particularly. Maybe we'll break down directly from here, and we do have a potential setup for that. But with OPEX tomorrow, I'm thinking we might kick around here for a couple of days. And we'll wait and see how that develops. Dow, this is broken up, and I'm wondering about a retest of the June high. Doesn't have to. Might well not. But this kind of looks like a flag forming. I'm wondering again whether we are going to see a move up into tomorrow. And possibly a retest of this high. We will see. Now, one thing that's been dragging down SPX, and one reason you've been looking at RTY and YM outperforming SPX and NQ, and you've been thinking, why is that? Well, one, tech is underperforming, and two, tech is underperforming because half of the tech underperforming is why the NASDAQ is underperforming, and tech underperforming is also the reason that SPX is underperforming. SPX, of course, is now made up 50% of tech stocks. When tech stocks are a drag, tech stocks are leaping ahead, this means that SPX will outpace RTY and Dow as a matter of course. When they are lagging, then this is going to lag behind the other two, and that's exactly what we saw yesterday. So what you're seeing there is tech lagging, and there's every reason for tech to lag, and tech may be topping out here, and tech may see a bit of a rally here, but it may not get far, and it may fail within a couple of days, and I think that's more than likely. They've got nice head and shoulders forming on the various patterns, but the thing is, those would still be forming if we went off and retested the highs. On ES. They would only not be forming if we went and retested the highs on NQ, which at the moment looks like a fairly remote prospect. We'll see how that goes. But that is my general feel, is that we may well kick around here for the rest of the week. We may well go back and retest the highs, the rally highs on ES and SPX, and we may stall fairly soon after retesting those highs because we've got nice looking topping patterns developing on tech that, on balance, I'm thinking have a pretty good chance of delivering. So I think this is just the usual type of high breaking out where we see multiple retests and the market gradually turns, rather than a failure that goes straight down, which looks more like, when you see it, a low does. A low, you can make a low and it spikes straight up. A high, generally speaking, it kicks around for a while. And I think that may well be what we're seeing here. Okay, any questions today, guys? Anyone? No, in that case, that's a wrap. We've had an absolute desert for signals today, by the way. Yeah, very welcome, Michael. My pleasure as always. We've had a desert for signals today on the 1 minute. We have not had a decent signal apart from, and I would note, this one, which is just fixed right now. Worth having a look. This is the first decent sell signal, well, any signal today. and I think we might just have a short right here. So watching with interest, if we are going to form that flag I was talking about, and if we are going to come back and do this low and then make it up, I'd be thinking on a yes. Well, the signal itself wouldn't have a target, but the thing is, in terms of where I would like to see this on a yes, I would like to see a low of really, there's a decent looking level at 76, 78, but what might be more realistic is like 84 to 88. A little below the overnight low on ES. That could make a very nice bull flag low on SPX, and at that stage, with any positive divergence, I'd be buying, and I would really like that as a buy. So, I mean, we'll see how that goes, but that would be an ideal path. Come down here, head back up here, and probably to here, and then die. Stats for tomorrow. Hang on. Where's my book? Bear with me a second. Ah, got it. Hang on. I think we're actually reaching a stage of the month where, we've had a week where really there weren't any stats worth the mention. But we are actually reaching one. Stats for today, yesterday, slightly bullish. Today, yesterday was slightly bearish. Today is mildly bullish. Tomorrow is mildly bullish. Expiration day, of course. Monday is mildly bullish. Tuesday is strongly bearish, which is well worth noting. And Wednesday is it's significantly bearish. So is Thursday, and actually so is Friday. So basically, we've got a bullish Monday next week, and it's all bear after that. Lightly bullish into the close on Monday, or strongly bearish basically for the rest of the week. 380-ish low on ES would be today and tomorrow. Well, we could just kick around until tomorrow. That would be boring. But yeah, that would. But if we could get down there today, maybe start a slow push up into tomorrow, grind up into a retest the high, that could be ideal. That could be very good. And it's wedge, breakdown, retest, fail. In terms of the calendar, and you can't use the calendar as, Monday leaned bullish. So, but I mean, the calendars just gives you the percentages, but ideally what we do is we kick around making the high until close on Monday, and then we drop for the rest of the week. That would be, on a calendar basis, that would be absolutely perfect. And I think we might well see it. It's not a bad setup for it. We'll see. All right, guys. In that case, yeah, I will most definitely be reminding you for the Tuesday one. We will be watching that very, very carefully because we've got 4 bearish leaning days back to back, Tuesday through Friday next week. And Tuesday is really bearish, something like 85% red closes, which is really, really, really bearish. That's one of the most strongly leaning days of the year. So we'll see how that goes. All right, cheers, guys. Anyway, I'll catch you later. Have this posted ASAP. My pleasure as always, guys.